if you're asking me, I'm going to tell you to do real estate because real estate's changed my life. And so it's like, okay, to get that in place, you need to go learn everything you can about real estate. You need to start networking. You need to start talking to other investors, lenders, private lenders, property managers, you name it, and just like read all the books, the podcasts, get ready to do it. If you're going to start a personal brand like I did, I took classes and met with people who had large followings. Yeah. I've had a pressure washing business. I learned about pressure washing, which ones to buy. And so I think it starts with just, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? Gaining the knowledge for it, and then starting it and, staying as lean as possible until you get those systems in place.
Welcome back to the Passive Road to Retirement podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Jarrett. Today, we're joined by JD Sustar. JD was worth negative $10,000 and was constantly cash poor. He didn't come from money. He lived the middle-class dream of going to college, playing baseball, but walked away with over $60,000 in student loans. In his first job out of college, he quickly realized that if he could learn to sell, he could scale his income. In 2014, he started in pharmaceutical sales and eventually jumped into medical equipment sales, and that's where he still is today. In 2015, he bought a fix and flip with private money and managed a project himself. He did an awful job, but somehow managed to walk away with a $10,000 profit. That's when he realized that there was money to be had in the real estate game. Wasn't sure how to maximize it, but for 3 years, he read every book, listened to every podcast, picked investors' brains, and got mentored in investment real estate. Fast forward to today, and he has a portfolio of 20 plus properties and a net worth of $2 million. He has now created the Finance Cowboy platform to share his knowledge and experiences with others through content and coaching so that millions of others can experience the same success that his family and him share. JD, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. So that's quite a background, man. Maybe you can give us a little more detail on it and kind of how that went.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. I grew up a pastor's son, so I grew up in a great home. Both parents, good morals, good values, and all. But pastors don't necessarily make a lot of money. And so when you talk about, investing or making money, talking about money, leaving things for generations, it wasn't a conversation that we were, having a lot. So I don't come from money. It wasn't a big topic, but, I've always had a drive in me. And you mentioned in the intro, that I, played baseball. I played baseball through college, and I really had a drive, a desire to reach those goals, and so carried that into the working world and got into the service industry right out of college at Cintas. I was making $45,000 a year, up at 4:00 in the morning, delivering uniforms, picking up dirty ones, and I'm like, man, this sucks. And right. I really like talking to people and the sales part of it, but I don't like the grunt work of it. I didn't go, spend all this money, come out of college with $60,000 in debt to do this every day. So I got into sales and, eventually scaled my income. But, when we're talking about the money and investing, I think, I came out behind the 8 ball like so many people do my age, or our age when you're getting out of college. We actually took Dave Ramsey's class. I don't agree with everything he teaches, but I think he gives a good foundation for a lot of people. He's helped a lot of people. And so what it made us do is take our finances serious. And so what we did essentially from the time we graduated college until, not long ago, I'd say 2018, is we just got our finances in order. Yeah. It was cleaning up that bad debt, cleaning up student loans, cleaning up consumer loans, and then finally got that cleaned up. Making a decent income. I dabbled in real estate in 2015 with private money. I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm ready for this yet. Went back to the drawing board. I was cleaning the finances up, learned everything I could, dove all in 2018, bought that first rental, and then it was off to the races after that.
Nice. Now, what made you in 2015, I guess, pick real estate? Did you read a book on it or saw something, or, how'd you come across it?
To be honest, I don't remember exactly what made me want to flip a house in 2015. So if I went and told you there's an exact story, I would be lying. My best friend had gotten into real estate right when we graduated college in 2013. So he had been in my ear. And then my father-in-law had, he had some rentals. And then he had bought a bunch of land over the years. So I knew that he was into real estate. And so, and then maybe I was looking at a house in Florida. We lived in Florida at the time. And I think maybe our realtor, she helped investors do flips and kind of manage them for them. And so I think it was a combination of those three things. Okay. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can get somebody to lend me money and I try to do this. And It was a disaster because I was actually living in Jacksonville, but the house we flipped was in, I think, Port St. Lucie, which is close to West Palm Beach.
Oh, wow.
And bro, I mean, we got done renovating it. They came in and realized stuff wasn't the code, so we had to knock walls down, rebuild stuff up. The guy who was supposed to buy it, the financing got delayed. It was a disaster. We came out ahead by like, and I had to split the profits. It was like 10 grand total.
Okay.
So, some people are like, well, you still made 5 grand. I don't even think I kept most of mine. I think I gave the majority of mine to my investor because it was such a debacle.
Yeah.
So, and I was just like, you know what? We got a lot going on. We are starting to have a family. I was like, I need to just get everything, the foundation built before I go, dabbling in this again. Whether that was right or wrong, because I think I probably could have figured it out and kept going there. And there's part of me that wishes I would have. It was a great time to buy, but I didn't, and everything's worked out for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough flipping a house and then, doing it from that far away, man, that's brutal.
Yes, especially the first go around. I'd be a lot more if I did it today. Be a lot smoother process, but
yeah. Hey, everyone. Hope you're enjoying this episode. Are you ready to maximize your real estate investing to its full potential? Join us at Level Up REI Coaching and take your life and business to all new levels.
Send an email to nick@levelupreicoach.com. That's Nick, N-I-C, at levelupreicoach.com.
And now you kind of, now it sounds like you focus on more like passive income and buy and hold strategy. Is that kind of what you're doing now?
Exactly. Right? Yeah, that's exactly what I do. So, I have a very good job now. I wasn't always making very good money out of a W-2. And so that was why flipping was more enticing to me. And we did more of that, even in the earlier days, 2018, 2019. But, since my income scaled substantially, so I'm not necessarily hurting for more capital, in the tax implications of flipping. You're just getting hit with short-term capital gains most of the time. And so I focused on building what I call long-term wealth through rentals. And, I've really enjoyed it. Now I could go back and flip if I had to, if I needed to, but because we have that income coming in, I can leverage private money. We're just literally continuing to build this portfolio mainly of single family homes. And we got a mini mobile home park that should set us up. We've already grown our net worth substantially in a matter of 4 years. And, I look to the future and I'm very happy with the horizon.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Awesome. I agree. I love the passive income and the buy and hold strategy. It's my favorite. Yeah. You also, I see on your website, you've got Peacock Insurance. So you have a insurance company as well. And how does that kind of tie into real estate? And, if you can go into detail on that.
Yeah, so it is very small, and to be honest, it doesn't get the time that it deserves at this point. Okay. I was, working with an older gentleman to purchase a Medicare book of insurance, and in the meantime, I had to get my insurance license to be able to buy that business. And then with the Finance Cowboy brand, I felt like I had an opportunity to reach the followers I already have. We got, over 75,000 on Instagram, and kind of tie that into not necessarily real estate, but it's like protecting those, you love, protecting your family, your beneficiaries, should something happen to you. Now there's a whole discussion on what's the best types of life insurance. I solely only push term life insurance. It's the most effective, or I won't say it's most effective. It's the simplest, cheapest, easiest way to do it. And there's arguments for it. But somebody can put together a good argument for permanent life insurance, so we don't have to go down that road. But that's what we provide, to our customers, especially through that Finance Cowboy stream.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard like most people should just have at least a $10,000 term policy, right, for burial. I mean, do you agree with that, or what do you?
Yeah, think? I would say at minimum, just for burial. But like, especially people, I'm 31. And for folks my age, most of us are in that building stage, like, for example, my wife stays at home. And so, yeah, she's going to be left with some assets, but, liquidity in the short term, if I were to go, the last thing I want is them to be having financial stress. And if I can eliminate the chance for them to be in financial stress when I'm going by getting, $1 million, 1.5, whatever, $2 million policy on myself, that they're going to get a check for that amount. If I were to pass away and only have to pay $50 a month to have that in place,
it's pretty,
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
That's why they call it insurance. Hopefully it never happens, but if it does, everybody's okay.
Yep, exactly. Now, speaking of your following, 70 plus, 1,000 followers on Instagram. I guess maybe if you can go into the journey of kind of building that, and then maybe a tip or two for someone maybe just starting out trying to grow that following, how they can do that.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite an interesting story, the origin. So I started it in July of 2021, so a year ago, essentially a little over a year ago. And I had someone close to me that I had been trying to get to invest in real estate for years, and they always just kind of blew me off, And I think it was more, they're very educated, very smart, do very well for themselves, and I'm a little more blue collar, rough around the edges, and I think they're like, oh, we don't know if JD knows what he's talking about. And so I never could get him to take the plunge. I was like, whatever, I gave up. Well, this same person starts sending me a post from this other guy on Instagram. This is before I started my thing. Okay. And he was 26 years old. And he had like 30,000 followers, and he was telling people to invest in index funds. And so he convinced this person who was close to me, who wouldn't invest in anything. But now this person started investing in index funds because this 26-year-old had a following on social media. Wow. And was now an authority in the space. And I was like, what? So it kind of pissed me off that he was texting me to invest in it. I'm like, right. Realize like I'm crushing the game at real estate. I don't care about index funds. Not that they're bad. I'm just not excited about them, Right. And so then it hit me one day. I was like, dude, I got to try this. Like, I got to hop on social media and just start posting stuff and see where this goes. And so it really was done out of spite, to be honest. And when I started, it was called the Million by 30 Coach. And I probably ran with that for 2 months, 3 months. And I was like, man, that's too narrow, too niche. People over 30 aren't going to be as excited to listen to me. Right. And so I was putting on my cowboy boots one day, and the name Finance Cowboy hit me. Yeah. I was like, bro, I think that's a pretty decent brand, like let's roll with it. Let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. And I used to, and I still do, but I posted a lot more about just personal finances in general back then. Yeah. But I would also mix in my real estate deals and what I learned. And it was interesting. The market started pushing me, like the Instagram market. People wanted to hear more of my real estate deals. Yeah. And so I actually, I was just consistent. Still to this day, I show up every day and posting. Mm-hmm. And I only had 5,000 followers in January of this year. Oh, wow. And because of my consistency and learning, what people want, what they're going to share, and what they're going to save and like, I've had probably, 5 or 6 posts go viral, quote unquote. Okay. And it's bumped me up to, 75,000 plus. And it's been quite the ride. So now it was, something that started out of spite and then turned into a hobby is now like a viable business, and people actually need help. And I'm really enjoying getting to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you do like what, one post a day typically, or multiple, or?
Yeah, I go through different stages. Sometimes I'll do where I do 2 a day. Sometimes I'll set it up to where I do 1 a day. Sometimes I'll have 1 a day planned, and then I'll just be sitting on the couch at night and something will pop in my mind. It'll be a little Twitter post and I'll share it. But, when I first started, people don't understand when you build it. Like if somebody wanted to ask me today if I wanted to start an Instagram brand, knowing what I know now, I think I would say no. And the only reason I say that is because I am just so fresh off of getting this plane off the ground that the thought of having to do it again is so daunting. But if I hadn't been there, then I would. I encourage everybody to do it, because having a personal brand right now is one of the best things you could do, and social media is only going to continue growing. Right. And so the way what I was going to say is, when I first started, I would just wake up and make a post each day, or make 2 posts that day. Okay. And you got to spend a lot of time engaging with others, and there's some tips and tricks. But it was like I was spending a lot of time on Instagram, a lot of time on my phone. I was like, okay, I got to scale this back so it's sustainable. And so I got some systems in place now. I'll sit down one day, like before November, I'll sit down and I'll film. If I'm going to do 1 video a day for the month, I'll film 30 videos in 1 day. Oh, wow. Or if I'm going to film 2 a day, or have 2 a day, then I'll film 60 videos in 1 day, and maybe 2 or 3 days before that I'll sit down and write down all my topics. Mm-hmm. And then I sit out and I write down really the first 3 to 7 seconds, like my hooks. Okay. And so that way, and it sounds kind of gimmicky, and I hate having to do it, but if you don't have something that draws people in, like if the first 3 to 7 seconds and draw them in, they're not going to get the actual good information that you're about to get them. Right. So you got to play around with that. Yeah. And so I really write those down, and then I kind of just go off the cuff depending on the topic that I've written down and what comes to mind. And so anyways, but batching has been super helpful. If I could give anybody tips if you're going to start this, learn to batch. And then as you go, like my equipment's upgraded. I have a nice camera, a nice audio, and I send it to a guy who does all my post editing now. And then I have an intern who posts it all for me. So I got systems in place, but that comes with time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Speaking of habits and batching, do you have any, daily habits that kind of add to your success or make you successful that you could share?
The way I try to structure my days, and this sounds to me hypocritical because I've been sick all week, so I've totally got off schedule. Like when I get sick, I just try to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like that's the best way I'm going to recover.
Yep.
So I sleep later. But for me, what works for me, and it's not the same for everybody, but for me is I get up 5 to 5:15 ish, and I go to my little CrossFit class. I'm not very good at it, but I
Nice.
love the community. It gets
Mhm.
me sweating. It starts my day off strong.
Yep.
And then I come back, get the kids ready. And then the way I structure my workday after I drop them off at 8, my wife and I'll drop them off at school, is I come back and I try to sprint to noon.
Okay.
And so I look at the most important tasks. Most of the time, I will turn my phone on silent, or I'll put the focus on, like no distractions, and
Mhm.
whatever the important tasks are for that day, I just knock it out in those 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then I step back and I've set my meetings and any conversations or podcasts. Like I will not do podcasts in the morning. Every podcast I do is going to be after 1 p.m.
Yep.
And that has been super helpful for me. I started doing that probably, I don't know, 8 months to a year ago.
Mhm.
And it is amazing how much you can accomplish just in 4 hours by really doing detailed work.
Yeah. Curious, do you check emails during that time or do you wait till the afternoon?
So I try not to check emails during that time. Now, I would be lying if I say I don't ever, because I work a W-2. I love my W-2 job. I could jump into real estate full time. I could probably jump into Finance Cowboy full time, but I just love what I do for work. And there's sometimes I sell equipment to the pre-hospital space, so EMS and fire.
Okay.
So there's sometimes where it's like people really need to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
And so like I can't totally blow them off. I got a job to do.
Yeah.
But if it's not an emergency and then they just need a quote or they need me to check on an invoice, whatever, oh yeah, it's waiting and waiting until the afternoon. Now, yeah, I don't do it as good as I could, but yeah, especially if you can keep those emails away from me, because they will bog you down.
Yeah,
if you can
for
just
sure.
make yourself put that discipline in place,
Yep.
I promise. What is so important normally that can't wait 4 more hours, 3 more hours? And that's what I'm saying. Only when things are emergency, I'll hop on. But most stuff can wait.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, clearing those emails, it takes some time. If you really
Yes.
log your time, it adds up fast.
It really does. Yeah, you'll look up and you're like, dude, I've been doing this for an hour.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Now so it's a passive road to retirement. What would be like somebody either just getting into real estate or just the world of finance? What would be your top strategy for somebody to get their first passive income stream? No matter what it is.
I think for me, and everybody's strategy is different, but for me, I'm all about building a strong foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And until you can create the disciplines to get that personal finance foundation in place for yourself, I don't know if you should necessarily go chasing down those passive income streams. And what I mean by that is, if you got a bunch of high interest debt, if you're drowning in credit cards, if you're drowning in car loans, you're drowning in student loans, like you may want to look at taking care of that first. Because I always say, when you're trying to invest or create passive income and you have high interest debt, it's like wading through mud, right?
Sure.
You're not going to get very far.
Yeah.
And it's not fun to do that because you feel like it's not fun to pay those off because you feel like you're not making progress. But if you do it strategically, I did the debt snowball. I started with my smallest debt, would pay it off, roll it all into the next biggest. Like it can go by pretty quick, and do those side hustles, but get rid of that bad debt. And then, once you have that foundation set, like then I think you look at, what am I interested in? What am I good at? What can I help people at? Because there's so many different ways you can get that passive income stream coming in. If you're asking me, I'm going to tell you to do real estate because real estate's changed my life. And so it's like, okay, to get that in place, you need to go learn everything you can about real estate. You need to start networking. You need to start talking to other investors, lenders, private lenders, property managers, you name it. And just like read all the books, the podcasts, get ready to do it. If you're going to start a personal brand like I did, I took classes and met with people who had large followings.
Yeah.
I've had a pressure washing business. I learned about pressure washing, which ones to buy. And so I think it starts with just, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? Gaining the knowledge for it, and then starting it and, staying as lean as possible till you get those systems in place and get some cash flow coming in. And then, you can scale it from there if you want.
Yeah. That's actually a great point. Yeah. If you're paying 21% on a credit card, that 8% passive return is not going to help you. You'd better.
No.
Yeah, I agree. Just pay that down.
Yeah. Get the bad stuff taken care of. And, I do I paid off cars and everything. I don't sit here and teach people to do that. If you got a 2.5% car loan, is that the worst thing in the world? No. But me, for my messaging that I'm giving to people, being able to go out and say, I don't have a dime of consumer debt is powerful in my position. But again, I don't think it, just get rid of the high interest debt. It's really going to hold you back.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Now, I know you had the one deal where you fixed and flipped it for 10,000. Do you have any other deals that maybe haven't gone, totally how you expected, and anything you can share that you've learned from that deal?
You know, knock on wood. Let me find some over here. I haven't really had many or any that have been a disaster since then. And I think part of that is, we talked about earlier, I had that disaster and then I dove all in. I was like,
Yeah.
if this is going to be like this, I don't want to do it. So I need to figure out what the formula is here.
Hmm.
And, so I think being able to like stay away from those bad deals and from those bad experiences is doing a lot of due diligence on the front end. And that's been a key for me, man, is like I really zone in on markets that I want to invest in and like actual neighborhoods that I want to invest in.
Yep.
I know the comps like the back of my hand. I know what rents are going to be. I know how much I need to put in it to be able to get those rents. If I was going to flip it, how much I need to put into it to be able to turn around and get that full ARV after repair value. And so I am just a stickler on analyzing properties.
Yep.
And so to this day, it has kept me, from running into any more disasters. Now there's headaches. Like I got a rental property right now. A tenant just left, and two of the doors are boarded up because they just didn't take care of stuff. And there's holes in the drywall and the floor's messed up. But in my mind, that's not a big deal. Now, if the average person saw it, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you own this home." But for me, I'm like, dude, a contractor can come in and have all that done in a day, so that's probably been my worst tenant. And it's right now. We evicted them and, we're fixing the house up. But outside of that, COVID got a little spicy there for a minute. Luckily, I keep reserves. We weren't ever in a position where we're going to be hurt, but it's like, I have an Airbnb. I had two Airbnbs at the time. I sold one. I have one now. It's like there was no travel for a while. Like people couldn't get on the island, and people were able to delay renting or paying their rents, which was fine. I get it. I wasn't going and hounding on anybody for not paying rents during that time. I get it. Yeah. But, there are those things that come up. But if you have that strong foundation and you play it safe, then you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Good advice. Now, going back to your 18-year-old self, the 18-year-old JD, what advice would you give yourself, with what you know now?
I am happy with where I am in life. I'm very happy with where I am in life, and I've been, enjoyed growing. What I would tell myself though is don't ever lose, because when I was 18, I was very present, very in the moment, enjoying every second, milking every second of every day, all the way through college, and then you get out and you start working and you start setting these goals and you get focused on the future a lot and you're looking at your phone and you're doing this and doing that. And it's taken me a long time and I'm still not completely there, but to circle back of like, no, let's not forget, like we have a now life that we have to live. And so I would tell myself like, don't stop living in the present. And then I probably would have taken a more risk sooner. When I graduated, I told myself take more risk. Like I started working a corporate job at 22. I was 22 years old. Yeah. And it's like, no, what did I want to do at 22? Like from 22 to like 28, go do what you want to do.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying don't work. Like you're going to have to work, but like take chances, shoot for the freaking stars, go for it. Yeah. Because you're so young and you can make it up on the back end.
Exactly. Yep. That's a great time to risk. I agree. Now you've got on your website too, Golf with JD. You can schedule, which I thought was pretty cool. What is that like, I guess, when someone books a session with you to go golf?
Yeah, so I actually just got that put up. So I haven't promoted that yet. So it hasn't been pushed for anybody to be able to do it. It's just got put on the website. But I enjoy golfing. And so if people want to come golf with me, a lot of people ask me for one-on-one mentorship. So I don't have any coaching program currently. I am so close to launching mine. I've been working, oh my gosh, hours upon hours upon hours for months getting it ready. But people are always asking, hey, can I do a one-on-one? I'm like, dude, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to sit down. But this is the time where it's like, okay, I'll do a one-on-one with you, but we're going to be on the golf course so we can have fun while we're doing it. So people can fly in to Greenville, South Carolina. We'll pick them up. They'll spend the night. We'll spend the morning golfing, go to lunch, hang out. Then they'll fly back the next day. They can ask me any questions, real estate, life, business, whatever. And, they'll get it answered.
That's awesome. Yeah, I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm excited to start promoting. I got to get this, trying to stay focused. I got to get this coaching program launched. But after that, I'll probably start pushing a little bit because I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'll get to meet some cool people too.
That's cool. I like it. No, so if you could step in my shoes for the interview, what's one question that you would ask yourself that I didn't ask you?
That's a good one. Oh, I think I'd probably ask, how do you balance work and life,
Mhm.
with everything you're doing?
Yeah. Yep. Do you find it pretty? I mean, it seems like you got it under control, right?
Yeah, but I think it can spiral very quickly. There's been times where I haven't done it well.
Hmm.
And I really think systems and processes having them being in place and being disciplined and giving yourself time slots to do certain things
Yeah.
and like, setting aside, from 5 to 8,
Hmm.
it's all family,
Right.
like all family. If you can do, and in the morning from 7 till I get them to school, it's all family, and knowing that there's going to be sacrifice because sometimes you got to pay now so you can play later, but
Yep.
not sacrificing so much that you look and it's been 3 years and you're like, oh shoot, I haven't spent any time with my kids because I've been chasing my dreams. Like, I think a little bit of selfishness is healthy, and that sounds terrible. That's not the right word, but like going
Hmm.
after your own dreams, like we all should go after our own dreams,
Right.
but speaking to those listeners you have that have those families and they're going to have those families, like you started that, like that was your choice.
Exactly.
And so now you have a duty to, pour into their life because that's your real legacy right
Right.
there. And
Exactly.
so making sure that they're not just getting leftovers is super important.
Yep. I agree. Now you've got your 19-point checklist for analyzing rental properties. If you can kind of tell people where to find that, how to get it, and also, where to follow you and how to contact you.
For sure. So go to 19pointchecklist.com. And I mentioned earlier in the interview that I'm all about doing the due diligence on the front end because it's saved my butt on the back end.
Right.
What this checklist does is just give you everything you need to compensate for when you're analyzing a property. So you can go and check through, hey, I've figured out what this is going to cost: insurance, taxes, maintenance, HOAs, if they're there, utilities, what's my cash on cash return, cap rate, all that. And so it just
Okay.
is that tool and that guide for you to make sure you're marking all the boxes that you need to make sure you're ready to buy a property. And then if you're going to follow me, I'm on all the different social media platforms. My largest one currently is Instagram, and it's at Finance Cowboy. I'm at TikTok at the Finance Cowboy, and then you can go to my website at financecowboy.com. But I'd love to have you come join the family and hang out.
Awesome. So now we're into our 5 to Thrive section, which is the word association game. So basically, I'm just going to kind of rapid fire 5 words, right in a row, and just give me the first word or phrase that comes into your mind. The only thing is you cannot repeat the same answer.
All right.
All right.
All right. Here we go.
Here we go. First one is life insurance.
Term life.
Net worth.
Grow it.
Rental real estate.
Long-term wealth.
Wealth.
Rental real estate.
And JD Sustar.
Stud. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Father, husband, Christian, investor, salesman.
Awesome. Love it. Well, hey, man, it was great having you on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me and look forward to talking with any of you.
Absolutely.